will this be disruptive? All right, let me just go ahead and grab the link to the stream. My problem is that things are going to be pretty delayed, even if I set the delay down to 0. Yeah, it's the YouTube stream. Like, as far as, I don't know, I like the video quality in YouTube streaming more, but it's not as good for monetization and it's not quite as popular. But what I'm thinking is kind of just like making a video in one take, sort to speak. So, okay, I got my mic on. Go and say something real quick. Were you able to hear me? Great. I've actually set it up so I can hear, so that you should be hearable on stream. So go ahead and say something real quick. Jojo. You have TeamSpeak muted?
I think I keep just screwing up and not clicking the TS button. I'm sorry, I was using Discord like all day with some friends.
All right, so your sound should be your voice should be coming through now, which for the sake of what I'm
Yeah, I
trying to do
hear it.
here is actually intended. So what you probably would want to do is actually mute the stream, but be watching it. So let's see. This is still kind of like a very rough idea. I'm still kind of trying to perfect how to do it. So like, this was our GVG earlier, and you were not at our GVG. And in case we do publish this video, this is Jutoku, Hunter Spike on Twitch. You should give him a follow. Right now, this is being streamed privately, but maybe after a little bit of editing and a little bit of thought, we might actually put it up. I don't know. We'll play that by ear. So let's go backwards in this a little bit.
Well,
And
this
back
was
out.
from the first GVD, the GVD today?
This is the second third of the GVD today. Because of my own fault, we lost the first third of the video. This video is actually recorded on a video, some video recording software that I made myself, and what you're seeing on the screen, you'll see a set of red circles, and as you look through, you'll see kind of the direction of travel of the red circles and whatnot.
Yes.
That's actually where I'm looking. That's actually where my attention is directed. The green dot is uh, is where my mouse cursor is located. And then if you look in top right, because BDO does some really janky stuff with your computer, I'm actually not able to capture key presses, which is why I actually have the little thing over here so you can see what keys are being pressed. The fixation is like whether or not I'm actually like tracking an object. It's an algorithm that determines whether or not I'm staring at something specific. So if it's like an N, it means I'm not fixating. If it's an F, it means I'm fixating. So I just bumped up a couple of frames. You can see I'm fixating. So the eye tracker is pretty accurate, but as it gets to the extreme parts of the monitor, it's actually not quite as good. So chances are I'm either looking at sidelines or Argosyn, probably more like Argosyn in the background.
Hmm. So
And then
what do you have that's reading your eyes like that?
I'm using an iTribe eye tracker. They sold actually a pretty decent quality, but also very inexpensive eye tracker for a couple of years, and they actually just got
Interesting.
bought out by Facebook, I guess last year now, and have since stopped doing business, which is unfortunate. But I still have a decent little eye tracker, which is good for these like little fixation analysis. You can see where I'm looking on the screen. Oh, and then the last thing you see there is my pupil widths. The reason that that's important is it actually lets a person understand the state of alertness. This like the actual scientific term for it is arousal, not the arousal you're thinking. So what you should be looking at is relative changes in the pupil widths. If you see like a jump up in the pupil widths, that means that something happened that startled me or made me alert or made me upset or anything like that. And also an interesting fact, you know, that the right pupil width is actually a little bit more narrow than the left pupil. That actually tells you where the light is in my room because as the light falls across my face in a gradient, one side of my face is slightly in shadow compared to the other side of my face, which is why the two values vary a little bit.
I see.
So what we can do here is go up to our first. That's right. You were at the GVG
Yeah,
today.
the one today. Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking you weren't.
That's why I was asking. I was like, was it the one tonight? I was like, I was there.
For some reason, I
I
was
was at the
thinking you
whole
weren't.
thing.
That's the node word that you were sick for. So this is obviously from the perspective of a warrior. So you'll see me looking for specific things that are relevant to the warrior, like either the people that I need to be following up on who are initiating. So you'll see me like bouncing between Rojo and Loyal, and then you'll see me fixating on things that I should be guarding, like the wizards, and then hopefully you see me paying good attention to the pings and stuff like that. But also the point here is to be critical but kind of constructive too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also interested in seeing what people do. I'm like interested to see what I would do.
So if, like you can see in guild chat that one of our officers, Rojo, just called out that they are ready. So now you can see that I'm starting to really watch like Sidoni up there, one of our witches, pretty closely. Here pretty soon you'll start seeing some interesting stuff. And what we can do then is start breaking things down a little bit more. So the way that these videos are recorded is kind of almost to be intended to be gone through frame by frame like this. Like the videos are actually recorded at relatively low FPS, but really they don't need to be very high FPS. So right here is kind of the first interesting thing. So Des, actually, let's go ahead and just grab a quick screen cap of this. Pull this out a little bit so we can kind of get a closer look. So stretching this out a little bit kind of makes it look bad, but you don't need to look great for our purposes. So here we have Des moving off this side. And what's actually about to happen is that he's going to start issuing commands, but he's already kind of like off away from the rest of the group by the time he starts issuing a command. So Des hasn't called a whole heck of a lot, which is fine. And this war was much more for educational purposes than anything else. So, being critical isn't that big of like isn't the goal here, but pointing out what's going on is important all the same.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, Jitoku, feel free to comment on anything you see. Like keep an eye on the mini map, what you see characters doing, etc. Yeah, he ends up going like up here, and by the time he's pretty far away is when he issues his first ping. So let's go back to the video and advance a little bit. One thing I'm trying to do here is actually get somewhat time efficient with this too.
Now, would someone else need to have this camera thing to be able to have it read their eyes and shit, though?
Yeah, so I literally have the eye tracker mounted to the bottom of my monitor using like double-sided mounting tape.
Yeah, the ghetto rig.
Yeah, I worked around trying to figure something better, but so what is probably important to highlight here is the mini map, specifically like where a lot of our players are. And you'll notice where that first ping is down here, and there's a pretty big difference in space between the two. So already there's a few seconds of time between where the call out is being made versus where our group is. I don't know. Do you think the using the paint to just kind of point things out and draw things is helpful at all?
Nah, that's fine for right now. Yeah, it's doing what it needs to.
Yeah, I looked around for a better system to do that. So like here's where you see like things starting to get a little bit different. So you can see like some of the players have started to move. And like right now, like focusing on the mini map's probably the best thing to do. You just go ahead and grab, make sure you get the entire mini map this time.
When you think about it too, sometimes maybe the minimap is better to look at just because you can see things better half the time and know exactly where it's at on the minimap.
Yeah, for sure. So now we gotta look at both mini maps here. So you can see a few seconds ago, you can see my gaze has also changed to up the road. Um, a moment before, I was fixating on that little white square up there. And you can see that some of our players have started to follow in, which is fine. Like the reaction time is probably acceptable at this point, but you can see that we're halfway down into the swamp. And I don't exactly remember what's about to happen, but if I remember correctly, like their push comes in this way once this white square sees, and the problem is that we're spread out like all along here.
Yeah, I see that.
So we get pushed in on where we're spread like a bit too thin. And there you see the rest of the raid coming in. So then we round up and start heading back towards the row. You see Rojo followed in. Um, you can see a lot of the attention here is between the road and the mini map.
Yeah.
As it started to ping more, but now you can see their full push is starting to come in, and we're basically spread out all along the way. I'm not sure if I made the right decision here personally or not, and everybody's welcome to be, you know, have their own criticism. But you can see here, I actually turned back and tried to get over to Sidonia and Ray, two of our other wizards and witches, over here as they got pushed in on.
See, that's another thing too. I saw seen a lot of them rushing through our groups and hitting the squishies in the back, and that's something we definitely need to work on a little bit because their front line was doing a great job in the front lines, but they were also like hawk-eyeing their own teammates to protect them that whole time, and that's like something we definitely need to keep an eye out. Because every time I would go for someone in the back, it would be like another ranger coming up or
The interruption. All right, so we backed up a little bit to right where. So there's. Let's actually grab a screen of this real quick. So let's go ahead and grab our group, the mini map. It's gonna get kind of blown out, but hopefully this will make enough sense. So, oh, you can actually see one of them's wearing a ghillie. Well, actually, they might just be too far away from the name Jerezin yet.
that's what I'm thinking.
So the one thing to note is this warrior super far out in front. This is a pretty darn tanky warrior. I don't know the actual gear, but then there's also this other guy here. So this warrior, and can't tell from this image what the that class is, but they had a Sork and a DK that also were super aggressive on the
I think that
initiation.
sensei guy was actually a warrior. That one in the front there.
Yeah, Sensei's a warrior. I just like if you look, you can see where the other circle is, or I'm putting the circle on now. So there's actually several Sensei guys that are here. There's this one and this one, and then we've got our two of our wizards right in this area right here. You can see I'm fixating on where the wizard is as well. But if you look at the mini map, let's see. If you look at the mini map, you can see they have like a whole group of people pulling into that flank. They've opened
Yeah.
with a warrior. I can't tell if that's. I'm pretty sure that's the Sork coming in right there, and I can't tell what the other class is. But we got Jotoku right there in the back line of our group,
Yeah,
and
I see
then
it.
we're right next to both of our witches and wizards, and we've got a couple other people in the mix there too.
See, I was clearing out a lot of their back line too, but it was just a lot of their like tankier people. Like they were always. I felt like they were always coming back to like take us out as soon as we were doing that.
Yeah, they're pretty good about that. And, Rojo actually spoke with them a fair bit. So, and they had basically they had one of their groups was actually completely dedicated to just swinging between their own back line and pushing the follow up of their initiation.
Yeah, that's good.
So here you can see I'm trying to get over to Wizard and Witch as quickly as I can.
Yeah.
You're already in there. So you can see one of them, that's one of their guys that's in there, is the Zerker now. So the Zerker followed up. Let's see if you can see where he actually came in at. So the Zerker comes in. Did he just like jump in from really far away? I can't quite tell. But either way, the Zerker's now like in the middle of that mix. And you can see the DK is now putting in damage too. You can see Sidelines just got chunked half of his health.
Yeah. Their tankier characters are doing work for them for sure.
I'm actually going to try to just get a little bit closer up. So now you can see that their push is fully engaged. And if I remember correctly, what I was trying to do here was actually pulling back to try to find if I could protect the Witch Wizard. I think I was looking for Sidonia. Ah, there she is. Yep. Sidonia teleported away and popped the heal. You can see now, so actually this is really important, but let's back up just a little tiny bit. So you can see, I wish I could just like draw on this screen. This would be super handy. I don't like having to like copy and paste a screenshot. Like what I'd love to be able to do is just do a quick draw and then like progress forward. If you know of any kind of software that does that, would be awesome.
Not off
Anyways,
the top of my head.
so there's a few of our players. Actually, I don't think too many players. So remember, there's only been a few seconds that have elapsed here, but you can see there's a few of our guildies, um, but there's still a fair number of them left. Looks like Sidelines took the brunt of a lot of that actually. But if we actually advance forward, you can see that the players who did sweep around, who did follow Dez's initial pings, have now swept the backup from there and are actually coming in from behind.
Yeah, I see.
They got Gatsu, Dez, Tuba Ninja. So we can actually kind of advance through. So now it's mostly us on the road, and they've kind of backed up north a little bit. You can see right there. So actually, let's back up a little bit. So my goal here, personally, is to try to protect Sidoni. I'm trying to keep an eye out. You can see where my eyes are looking, my attention is directed forward, but I'll just go ahead and grab a screen real quick. I'll point out this guy over here. That's going to move over and actually get Sidoni before I can really react to it. I'm actually I don't remember which what the other one, but if there even ends up being two people here, then I'm going after Sidoni.
Hmm. Yeah, he was coming in at you, it looks like.
Right, but there's also Loyal over
Either that
here
or I think he
too.
was going to Sidoni. Yeah, they were going straight for Sidoni, it looks like.
Right, yeah, you can see that there's the guy coming up from the northwest and the guy coming from the or northeast and the guy coming from the west.
Yep.
So each of these frames is 200 milliseconds approximately.
Oh, wow.
So we can actually get pretty good sense of the actual time that elapsed. So that's 1 second that's elapsed. So he hasn't engaged between the 1 second that he first entered the screen. The other warrior's still up there on the side. So we've gone through another 0.6 seconds. And now he's basically in attack range of Zidoni. I haven't reacted, which is unfortunate.
Hmm.
And now
It'd be
he's
really
engaged.
interesting. Yeah. It'd be really interesting to see like where my eye movements are going on this.
And Sidoni's dead. So it took about 1.5 seconds from the time that he got within attack range to the time that Sidonia was dead and the time that I was reacting. Rojo also came in at the same time as well. And Loyal also came in, so you see that several players collapsed of our players collapsed in, but the damage is already done before any of us could actually react.
Yeah.
At least I'm pretty sure Sidoni's dead at this point. Oh, nope, nope, she's actually still alive. I was wrong. So Sidoni teleported off to the left, but I couldn't tell. Like, if we back up a little bit.
Yeah, I can't tell. Where? On the left? Oh, I see Sidoni right there. I wonder if she lived there.
So Sidoni gets attacked. I try to charge forward and CC, and then she teleports off to the left-hand side. Or she ran? I can't quite tell.
Yeah, I can't tell.
I want to get this to be higher FPS, but getting the information is kind of hard. I don't know. We could also probably just use like an OBS video for something similar as well, but we wouldn't have the eye tracking.
Yeah, unfortunately. The eye tracking I think is really nice because you can really see like what you're looking at or where you're aiming pretty much. It's nice.
Right, you can see where a person's attention is directed when something happens. So like when that guy came in from the left-hand side, like my attention was directed at the fight in front of me, and you can see the guy came in from the left, which is why it came felt like to me it came out of nowhere. Which that's an important take-home lesson I want to remember. I'm not making any claim to be any good at PvP at all. I get roped into raid commanding a lot, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily good at PvP. You see, at this point, I'm also fixating on Dez as well.
Yeah.
And then
I
we
don't know
have
what it
this.
was tonight though. They were. I really feel like it was just their tankier people that was just doing work on us.
Yeah. So actually, maybe this is so they pushed into us when we were pretty spread out, but we might have well. I don't know. We'll see here in a second. So the fight's still going on, and really, we've only gone through like less than 10 seconds of the fight.
Hmm.
So right here, Ray popped an Aqua Jail, which got that guy that came in after our wizards. Loyal is off over here. Not quite sure. He might be trying to get him from the back. I'm not quite sure. Loyal's doing Maywa things. So you see their
Yeah, we
warriors
kind
are,
of dash around.
yeah. So we see that same Sensei warrior and like those other guys now re-engaging.
Yep.
So at this point, I'm pretty sure some of their guys have actually like more of the guys have come in. So there's a Sork initiation right there. Yeah, that Lissa person hits like a truck.
Yeah, she was hitting super hard.
So we still have Ray and Dez up. Rojo's up in the front. Ray and Dez both being wizards. Got Tuba Ninja coming up initiating. Ray has jumped up to the front to attack as well. And now you see a general push forward on the part of our players. See the Sork dive into the middle of our group and try to do something, but they're also getting hit pretty darn hard. Or wait, is Lissa a Sork or a DK?
I feel like it was the Sork that I was complaining about the whole time.
So look at that. She was able to dive in.
Yeah,
So
Sorks
let's
are
go
just too
backwards.
good.
So you see Rojo come in with his CC, and then right on top of that CC, like Lissa iframes in, pops their skill. I need a window on here that shows the kill count. I don't have those up usually, but I should have one. And then who is that that came in there in the middle too? Ryoshi? No, there's another person. I can't see their name there. Super something?
Yeah, I can't see it. There's too much AOE.
That's one of the problems with BDO is that there's so much particle effects that the whole screen is just drunk with it.
Yeah.
Oh, Sensei, it's the warrior. So the warrior and the sword came in again. But that's really a common pattern with them. To me, engage with a 100%. I'm pretty sure they're both already dead by the time I did my
It's like
100%. Let's
Loyal
take a look.
came in to try to help there.
So yeah, you see Loyal coming in right at the same time I come in too. Oh nope, he actually went backwards. And then he comes back in right after. Oh no, he got caught in the CC is what happened. So that was what was that there? Warrior Sensei's grave digging,
Yeah.
and then at the same time I went in with my 100%. And Loyal came in at the same time right after my 100% went off. And I'm pretty sure Loyal got both of those kills. Yeah, their warrior's dead, and I don't see Lissa anywhere, so I assume that Lissa popped too. But at this point, a lot of our rest of our raid, so kind of tunnel vision, unless you can back up and see what happened to the rest of our raid there, because like no one's left.
Loyal's over there.
So you can see there's some people up the road. They went out towards the field and then looped around, and their entire raid is just sitting right there. At which point I'm like, it's time to GTFO. And then Dez comes into the middle of their raid. Did he get out of there? I don't think Dez got out of there. I'm pretty sure Dez went into the middle of the raid and promptly got killed. And then you see that initiation again. Yeah, now they're full on initiating up that choke right there between those walls.
So what are you trying to achieve with this program though? This eye tracking stuff?
The eye
Like, are you
tracking
just
program.
fiddling around?
Um, so with something like BDO, especially right now, it's not super useful. But let's say that I want to evaluate a website's usability. Like let's say that you have a website you've made that you want people to get certain things. Like you made this website and you're like, okay, people go on this website and they immediately need to see A, B, and C. Maybe A is like some super nice representation of the product. B is and then B is like a how to buy it option, and then C is maybe like current news. So you can park a person in front of an eye tracker, and like it doesn't have to be these circles. I can do something like have like numbers and then lines drawn between the numbers so you can see like an ordered fixation. Like the red circles are just a very blunt way to do this. Or I can do something like a heat map too. Like that's also something I could put in there so you can, rather than seeing like a specific area I'm looking at, so you can see instead what is going on in general.
Hmm. Interesting.
Um, what bigger area, how much time is being spent. Like the heat map kind of gives you like how much time is being spent in a given area. Well, this is more of like a moment by moment what's being looked at. And you see, I just got 100% in. So we'll actually go ahead. Well, yeah. So you can see a few of us trickle in afterwards, and then mostly die. So we'll go ahead and skip forward. But yeah, so developers are extraordinarily interested in what a user is paying attention to. It gives them a sense of whether or not what they're trying to convey is being successfully conveyed. Like I say, um, you're like, well, this is super important to your ability to progress, but they're not ever using it. Well, you can park a naive user, a user that's not very familiar with the software, in front of it, in front of a terminal with an eye tracker, and they can look at it and be like, oh, so they're looking at this first because it's like flashing and grabbing their attention, and really it's not the important thing. Or they try to click it. We can see from like the key logs and the mouse movements that they're trying to click it, but it's not quite working right. Or it gives a lot of high resolution information. So in addition to this video, there's also a log file that has a timestamp and the XY coordinates of where the fixation and where the eyes are looking and whether or not fixation is occurring, a bunch of other stuff.
Oh wow.
So that could be paired up with timestamps. There'll be more added to this video recorder soon as well. Like I'll be playing like the timestamps down at the bottom so you can see time progressing, so you can match that up with data points, etc. And there's a lot of more things that could be done too. Like you can look at certain regions and be like, well, when a certain region happens here and when a click happens here, then the user was trying to do this or an error occurred or whatnot. Like there's a lot of things that can be evaluated here. So you could say that like if my goal was to protect Sidoni, and then when that player, that Sork came in from the side, and I didn't see them, and they got all the way into Sidoni, that you could say that that was an error on my part, and you could actually code that into data as an error.
Interesting.
And if you're a developer and you really want to design a system where you could say see that person come in, you could look at that. You could look at where my attention was and why it was there. Like the whole gaggle of players and the big particle effects, and you'd be like, maybe we should make some design choices that might make it more feasible to see people coming in from the sides. Like I actually recorded a video earlier of trying to navigate the FCC website uh, to kind of show how convoluted and terrible they made their website for commenting on potential legislation. I ended up overwriting that video, so I probably would upload that. But there's lots of applications where basically any time where it is important to a developer or a business to know where a user is looking, to know where their attention is directed, is when eye tracking can be really handy.
Yeah.
So we've actually had some people come back now, and then we're back into our next push. We can also stop this too. We don't have to keep this going either. Kind of late.
Oh. It's no big deal, dude.
But
I don't mind.
my idea and my interest is to maybe record some of these, maybe get this video recorder working a little bit better, or maybe just use a regular video recorder and be able to go through and do a video where we're kind of going through this frame by frame, doing these real fine resolution breakdowns of what exactly happened, and like really try to take away from like what our players can be doing, and anybody who is watching videos can be doing to improve.
Yeah.
Kind of like watching the sports game after after your team plays about, and kind of want to see and break down the outcome.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty interesting, I must say. I need one of those cameras. I would love to see what my movement's like.
Admittedly, it took me a long time to actually get it so I could actually get data in this kind of context, because there's no program that did this. I actually had to modify a library that somebody else wrote in Python, and then use a couple other tools to be able to actually look through this and to do this more or less. Uh, However, if anybody has an eye tracker and like an iTribe eye tracker at least, you'll probably find them for cheap actually. Now that the company's out of business, there's probably some drifting around eBay.
Why did you pick one of those up?
This eye tracker, when I bought it new, was $100.
It's not bad.
Yeah, especially considering that the next price point for an eye tracker is in the thousands.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a big reason why you don't see uh, eye trackers all too often. Is they tend to be expensive. That's more because they're not widely used though, not because the technology is expensive. It's kind of like how VR was for a long time, like a VR headset. In 2013, like a production VR headset cost around $60,000, and now you can get them for $600, and they're arguably better than they
Hey,
were then. So you can
I
see I
love
just got
my
my butt
Vive.
spanked with a 100% Vice Revive, so I kind of ran back to look for wounds. I also think that most of our push didn't survive that either. Tuba Ninja is also off looking at his wounds too. Oh, and the Berserker caught me, or trying to catch me anyways. And it looks like we're getting people back. I don't know. Anyways, we can probably wrap this up here. I think we've kind of dissected enough, and I think the idea can be at least conveyed. So I can show this to some of the others of our community who might want to participate in like a breakdown like this.
Yeah, definitely. There's probably a lot of people that would be interested in hearing this out a little bit. Like, really can, like, you can get real technical with everything, something like this for sure.
Right. What I might actually do is maybe shrink down the key presses, fixation, pupil widths, and all that kind of stuff in the video recorder, and try to increase the size of the video because the video is recorded. The initial screen capture is recorded in 1080p, and then it is shrunk down to 720p, and then this white space is added for data information.
Let's see.
Because we do lose some detail, and it'd be nice to be able to zoom in a little bit more. Unfortunately, I can't make the images too big in the initial recording because then it just really bogs down the recording software. Of course, maybe we could go ahead and do something like this because really all we're gaining is like the eye tracking stuff, which for the sake of a PvP evaluation of a video game isn't all that helpful. But we could say I could record at say 1440p using OBS and have plenty good FPS to be able to dig in and plenty detailed of images.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm going to wrap this up here. So if anybody's actually watching this, thank you and have a good night.